So I'm Blaine. I'm from, I guess, the Dallas area of Texas in the United States. And I was really big into film during like middle school and high school, and I knew that's what I wanted to do in college. And Rooster Teeth had always entertained me with their RT shorts and stuff like that. So long story short, there's a university in Austin where Rooster Teeth is based called the University of Texas at Austin. And I decided to go there. And then I happened to get a internship with Rooster Teeth, and I got involved with the community by being a guardian at RTX there in Austin. And all just kind of worked out. So I ended up at the company.
Right. So in terms of mental health, you've talked about it like fairly openly or on certain things. Has it ever been difficult kind of being open publicly?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're definitely like a target to some degree, where you'll receive kind of an onslaught of hatred if you say the wrong things, or there will be people passing judgment on you without even knowing who the hell you are. So that's a part of the whole community aspect, but that is like 1% of the 99% amazing great things that come from being at Rooster Teeth.
Do you feel like better after being like open yourself?
Oh yeah, totally. I think I had like kind of a problem with early on when I was with the company. I had like a character, and I wasn't feeling like I was like representing myself, for who I actually was. And then the more I got comfortable on camera, the more I started coming out as Blaine. And yeah, I think that was like a nice step for me. So yeah.
So finding like a sense of identity, I suppose.
Yeah. It's one of those things where if you're in front of the camera and stuff like that, you feel like you got to like entertain and take off your shirt, show your muscles and stuff like that. And it's like no. After a while, I realized like I don't have to do that. Like I think people will like me for me.
Yeah. So you're big into your physical health.
Yes.
How aligned is your mental health journey, I suppose, in your physical health?
So I struggled with my weight at a younger age, and it was one of those things where I wasn't like happy with how I looked, and it kind of fed into how I felt. And then I realized that, by going and exercising and stuff like that, I was not only like taking care of myself, so I was like physically, like I was getting sick less often. I was able to do more active things, but I was also just feeling happier in general, and I was more confident about like going to the pool or, doing things like that. So they are just like so in unison, my mental and physical health. I've taken so much comfort from going to the gym or going for a run or something like that. Yeah, it's very important to me.
How basically has joining Rooster Teeth and the community and what you do there helped or hindered potentially your mental health?
Got it. I think my relationship with my mental health in the Rooster Teeth community, it's only been positive. They were always there to pick me up. It's like a nice family to fall back on if I'm having a rough time. I know there's a bunch of people out there that are very loving, and it's the same thing. I've had people reach out to me, hey, I'm going through a rough time. I'm not feeling confident about myself, or I'm just feeling really bummed lately. And it's like a nice way of like we're keeping each other happy and accountable.
Yeah, is it the feeling of connection or like or the mutual connection between other people?
Yeah, it's the Rooster Teeth community is special, and it's like I think the only thing, one of the few communities on the internet where we're all so closely connected and we're as open as we are about the mental health and stuff like that.
Do you ever like take into account like how beneficial you are for other people's mental health?
I don't like to think of it that way, just because it seems like kind of
a bit too self-important.
And it's very vain and egotistical and stuff like that. If I'm making somebody feel good or happy or I'm entertaining somebody and it's by way of me doing something that I love, that's great. That makes what I do, filmmaking and stuff like that, even better. It's because I'm making somebody happy. But I don't want to think like I'm someone's hero. That's lame.
Do you ever think of it in terms of like Rooster Teeth as a whole entity in terms of what it can do in terms of the community it's created, how that can be beneficial?
Oh yeah, I mean we've recently with the Dell Children's Hospital in Austin, we helped them open up it was like a garden. It's not small; it's actually quite large. And it's just a space where people can go out and chill, if they're having a hard time at the hospital. And it was the Rooster Teeth community helped us raise those funds, and we organized the events to help, get that money around. Like, that's awesome. And, and also just like community meetups, like RTX or other stuff, like just getting people together. It's just nice. It keeps people social, happy.
I was going to ask actually about because there's like quite a big stigma around mental health even still in terms of people talking openly and not feeling able to. Like, what part do you think your community could play in like changing perceptions or Rooster Teeth as a whole?
I mean, I feel like being vocal about it and talking about the issue and not ignoring it and, you know, kind of like pushing it to the side is very important. You know, the more like front facing it is and, you know, people talking about it being an issue that's very real, like I think that that's important. So I think if the Rooster Teeth community is continuing to champion mental health, you know, I think that's really important. I think that's something that needs to be done because it's very stigmatized and stuff like that still. So yeah, I think the more we keep that conversation going, the better.
Not too long ago, in the last couple of years, the World Health Organization kind of put gaming addiction as a mental disorder, or it could be. How big a part do you think like communities have to play in changing that perception that it can be bad?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not really sure. I mean, I can see like I've had like a lot of conversations with parents about their kids in Fortnite and being addicted to Fortnite.
Yeah. I think that was the most recent one to come out as like an actual disorder you could have, or addiction to Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean that's a bit of a bummer, and it sucks because like I feel like a lot of the older generation who don't understand gaming will like see that and they'll focus on that small aspect alone instead of like, you know, all the other incredible things that gaming does for our generation. You know, they think, oh, it's violent and all this stuff. It's like that's like a small percentage of like this thing that's otherwise a really great way for people to bond and meet. You know, I have friends that I never met in person that I met online. I'd played games with them for years without ever seeing their face, and you know, we met at like a Whataburger, and it's like this is the weirdest thing ever, but this would have never happened without video games. Yeah. So,
and do you think that's like the most important part, like the community it puts you a part of, just by being invested in gaming in general?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah, especially with the Rooster Teeth community, we're so big on gaming and stuff like that. And yeah,